Confirmed, Kiwi is pay to win. Confirmed, Kiwi is pay to win with her gacha games. But unfortunately for her, she cannot use an in-game transaction to change her life, which honestly I feel like episode 3 of Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night is definitely going for, which is honestly surprising for me. I really did feel like coming into this episode, when I was starting to get all the hints, I was like, okay, we're going to do the bully story. She went to this new school and she was bullied there, and so she shut herself in, but she won't tell her friend. But it actually kind of more gets in the idea of what I think this series, with its 3 episodes, has constantly been hitting on. The idea of somebody inspiring somebody, that inspires somebody, that inspires somebody, and that keeps going. But really cool here is having that sort of full circle, where Kiwi always inspired Mahiru. Now suddenly Mahiru is inspiring Kiwi, which I thought was really cool. It's kind of like that idea of you've always propped me up, and I think you misunderstand what propped me up. So let me tell you what's so great about you, which allows her to sort of come out of that shell, which I thought was really fantastic. Not that it seems like it's completely fixed Kiwi. I mean, we can see in the next episode suddenly she's going to school again or something like that. But for now, it's really just allowing her to just meet somebody, come and see Mahiru for the first time in what they say, like 2 years, which is a pretty big deal. But yeah, I really love this episode. I like the fact that it did not rely on another bully story, which bully stories are fine. I mean, they're uncomfortable, but they're fine. It's just I wanted something different, and I think that they actually pulled that off. And it was really interesting because early on in this episode, it's kind of given us a hint throughout the episode that it seems like she has a facade that she's putting up, which is a VTuber. That is technically something that is very common these days, is VTubers that are introverts that act like extroverts because they have that persona they put on, which is literally what Kiwi's doing in order to kind of fulfill what she's always had in the past. She has this persona that she's putting on, which is legit what she's always been to Mahiru, this hero of justice. That's why her VTuber avatar looks as dorky as it does. She likes to be a hero. And so she's being able to, because her school didn't accept that, because nobody in her new school was jumping to the opportunity to hang out with her just like Mahiru did, suddenly she's like, okay, well, I'll make that persona online. So she makes this VTuber, and now she's being able to perform like she always has, and that's sort of given her that outlet. But what's interesting is that during the episode, it was giving hints that she wasn't satisfied, that she wasn't happy about that. And I think that's kind of one of those aspects of, despite the fact that she's able to continue on as she is, she's not that person anymore. And I think that's kind of that sense of, she doesn't want to let go her past, but at the same time, she's not as fulfilled as she used to be. And it might just be the simple fact that through an outlet through VTubing, it's not giving her that same satisfaction. It's her VTuber model. It's not necessarily her, but it never really necessarily specifically said that. So that's just really kind of me throwing speculation on there. It seemed like there was a sense during the episode that she wasn't satisfied. Now, what that probably is, that's simply that she was lying to people. She was constantly lying to people, saying that she's this, student council president. She's talking to Mahiru. She's telling her people on her live streams that she's doing all this stuff at school. She's telling all these stories about her experiences at school and how she has to get off the stream because she's got to go to school tomorrow. And they were all lies. So that was probably simply that. But there was a sense here that she was obviously struggling with something, and I think that was more the idea that she was just lying to herself the entire time. It isn't until finally she talks to Mahiru, Mahiru tells her what was so special about her, not that she believed the lie, but more so the fact that she did it so confidently, and that's what she liked about her. And so it allows Kiwi, it sort of implies that she goes on her next stream and tells them all the truth. Well, at least she tells the story of her and Mahiru. It doesn't tell us exactly what she told them, but the chat sort of indicates that people are going, good on you. That's great that you did that after so long. That seems like that took a lot of courage, all that kind of stuff. So it's implying that she has sort of come to a clearance with Mahiru and their relationship, and yes, no longer lying to her, which I think is a big deal. Overall, similar to what my first impressions were with the first 2 episodes, I really do feel like Kiwi is another example of sort of a new age of a new generation of people that are growing up in this world. A lot of people have this desire to be an online personality. And the best way to do that when you are not comfortable being in front of a camera, which me personally took a little bit to get over, if you're not comfortable with that, a VTuber model is great for that. And I think a problem that comes with those VTuber models is it sort of just creates a different persona of yourself that people are able to latch onto that's not necessarily yourself. So that you could sort of have an identity crisis there, that you're projecting something that's not necessarily you. You're creating a facade. Not to say that you can't do that without a VTuber model, I could technically be doing that. There's a lot of people that are personalities online that have a camera on their face, but it's not actually their real self. They act a lot different than they do in the real world. And if you are creating a personality, I think you need to be able to disconnect yourself from what you are or own up to it. If you're going to create something, I think you need to understand that you're going to create that lie. And I think that's the struggle that she's always had. But yes, I really liked how that all concluded. I love that conversation with Mahiru. Mahiru basically telling her, look, I've always known that you were lying. You were up there acting like a hero of justice, but you know what? I didn't mind that. What she liked was how she was able to pull it off. She was landing it. She was this hero of justice and she was pulling it off. That's what she liked about her. I think the big key thing that I'm really curious about going in the next episode is how much of that is going to change Kiwi. Because again, she has finally allowed herself to go in front of Mahiru again, which is a huge change for her. But is she going to go back to school? And if she goes back to school, how much of this experience is going to affect her when she goes back to school? Because yes, a big plot point of this whole episode is Kiwi not being able to change. Or more necessarily, she doesn't want to change, which is perfectly fine. She had this persona back here. And then when they changed schools, they went to different schools, and suddenly she was out of being the hero for Mahiru all the time, and now she's at this new school, and she's trying to do that same thing she always did with Mahiru, but nobody cares. They're all interested in cute stuff, they're interested in beauty, they're all interested in all this other stuff. They're not interested in a hero of justice. They've moved on from that. They've, in societal terms, they have matured, and she's stuck back here as a superhero. So what is going to happen when she goes back to school? Is she going to keep trying to be herself, which is being a fan of being a hero of justice? Or is she going to let herself mold to society? I think that whole scene with her walking down the street was like super telling. And the idea that she's walking down there and she hears people gossiping about some person wanting to be a boy and this other person's talking about their looks. And she's taking it all into herself before she eventually says, I didn't change. The world changed. This world sucks. Like, she doesn't want the world to change, and so she's going to fight back against it. And even having this point where she bumps into some guy, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, wow, you're cute. And she's like, don't look at me like that. She doesn't want to be looked at as cute. She wants to be strong. She wants to be a hero. She wants to conquer the world. My assumption is that she will probably go back to school, but she'll probably just keep to herself. And then through Mahiru and the others, maybe she'll be able to have that outlet. I mean, she's still doing the VTubing thing, so she can still do it there as well. But anyways, that was a lot. That was a lot. I loved it. It was like there's so much in there, and it can go, and it technically hits multiple angles that I really like. It's the idea of being left behind. It's the idea of, even though she thinks that she's the leader all the time, she was actually reliant on Mahiru because Mahiru allowed her to be the hero that she always wants. And once Mahiru was gone, she was nothing. And yes, technically accepting yourself and how society itself can move on, how you can feel like you're immature by societal standards, but you just want to be yourself. All those things are all kind of mixed up in there, and I think they really kind of nailed it well. But yes, other than that, the other stuff in the episode, yes, we did kind of get into Mahiru coming to Kiwi in order to have her make a VTuber model. I thought they were actually going to make a VTuber model, and I was like, wow, I'm very curious to see if they'll actually have Kiwis able to make those models, because that's like it's an art itself. So it did make sense that Kiwi's like, yeah, you can make that via capture like mine, but she probably commissioned somebody to make that because that's a process. That's not something you just throw together. So it kind of makes sense that she's like, you know, look, that's really difficult, but I could do this instead. Just kind of make a video out of it, having all these little graphics and everything jump around. It was odd that she's like, yeah, I need like 5 more images to do different poses for it. And they literally only had 2 images in the entire video. So maybe, I don't know, maybe she had like the other ones to send to Kiwi and they had that whole fight, and thus Kiwi's like, oh, I'll just finish it with the 2 images. But I thought it was kind of funny that it's like, I was expecting like a whole bunch of different shots of the character, but there was only literally 2 of them. And the second one was just kind of animated. So, okay, we'll go with it. It was a cute song. Definitely a little kind of cute little graphic there. Kind of reminds me of a certain lolly video that went really viral lately. Maybe they were going for that. I don't know. But it was cute. I think the character art itself is really, really cute. Now, probably the best part of this entire episode outside of all that was definitely how Mahiru herself got in contact with Kiwi. Now, yes, I'm very surprised that this all played out the way it did. Of course, Mahiru basically pushing herself to get out there. She's trying to get out there more, so she decides to do this whole dance for the festival, and the school festival. And yeah, it's like this dorky dance about this lady that danced in front of where this goddess was shut in at, and then she took her entire top off and started dancing around. I can't believe they actually kind of technically portrayed it. But no, that was a really, really, really strong scene. I got a bit emotional. Just her again. I don't know how they talked her into answering the call. Like if she was mad at Mahiru, why would she answer the phone call? But it was like a chat, invitation to come in here, like a Discord or something like that, and like just join it, whatever. And yes, she basically dances in front and singing about coming out, and yes, that her world is dark unless she comes out. It was like, oh, that was so cute. And seeing Kiwi just cry, it was a really good scene. I thought it was fantastic. And yes, she technically screamed out something about being my superhero. And I'm like, I don't think that was part of the script, but it would definitely better for Kiwi to understand that you're my superhero, which she's always said. Like several times throughout the episode, she's talking about how Kiwi is like her hero and everything. It's like, it's super... Again, super cute. I love it. But yeah, I'll be curious to see where it goes from here. I'm excited for the next episode. I want to see how their chemistry works well together because we obviously have the band together. I don't think there's really any other characters to really add. I mean, we have a composer with Kim. Kiwi's going to be doing video editing, social media, and probably video editing. We have Mahiru doing a lot of the art. And then you have, of course, Kano doing the music itself. So I'll be curious how it all kind of comes here. Additionally, technically, Kiwi's going to be doing additional music, apparently. Like, Kiwi's doing a lot of stuff, so hopefully she can deviate to other people what she needs them to do, because she looks like she's doing a lot of stuff. So we'll see how the chemistry itself comes together, though, like how they interact with each other. I mean, we have Kim being like the dork and the obsessed with Kano character, Kano just being the more Genki character, Mahiru kind of being that level head in the middle there, very embarrassed, and then Kiwi, I don't know, I'll be very curious how Kiwi plays out now that she's kind of came out of her shell, of her room, and now she's in public again. Is she going to go back to being a dorky hero of justice, or is she going to mellow out? And again, I think that might be very dependent on how she's going to start acting around other people. Because again, she wants to accept her old self, but at the same time, she has fears of people accepting her old self. Mahiru obviously accepts her that way, but if she's going back to school and stuff like that, is she going to start mellowing out because she knows that they're not going to accept it? It's a question mark. So anyhow, that's all for me to say. That's my thoughts on episode 3 of Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know all the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.